All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our very first WildHeart CCL AMA. This is our chance to kind of sit down with everybody and talk about CCL, off season, postseason, preseason, all kinds of whatever questions you might have about CCL or otherwise, actually, when it comes to WildHeart. And our opportunity to just get to chat and answer those questions and be as honest as possible within reason. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal too many secrets about what I do with my hair, but I'll give you some little tidbits here and there. I guess while we wait for some people to kind of trickle in and get their questions ready and stuff, Jazzy, what's your experience been like so far during this off season?
Yeah, it's interesting this season around because this is obviously my second season now going into team managing and now director of operations. But this time around, without the draft, it definitely made tryouts a little different. There wasn't as much unknowns, obviously, because there was no draft. You didn't have to worry too much about things, so we didn't have to maybe try out as many people. Um, yeah, all like there's good and bad things with that, obviously, but yeah, in general though, I've always really liked all of the WildHeart guys that are on the teams, the ones that left and the ones that are returning have all been amazing to work with, and I'm excited to get to work with them again.
What's been your favorite? Well, I don't want to say who's your favorite kid yet.
Who's my
I don't
who's
want to
my
say.
favorite?
Yeah, no. This is pretty exciting. As me, for me, anyways. I was super involved the first, a few seasons. I was like in there trying to.
Hmm.
This is the team that I'm going to build, and taking a step back and kind of watching you and the players kind of work together to kind of create uh the roster that we have today. It's been cool because it's almost like when I was watching the first season CCL as
Hmm.
an observer, as a fan, I guess, of my team. It was really stress inducing. Like, oh my God, they're feeding. Oh, this is happening. And it's that same level of excitement. I'm into it. I'm not stressed out about it because, like, I don't know.
That's nice.
It feels, cool. It's like, hey, it's in good hand. People are smart. They know what's going on. I can take a step back and know it's gonna be cool. And then we're gonna bring awesome people in and to be involved.
It
I'm
is
very happy.
just speaking of watching the teams and stuff, it is so incredibly hard to sit down and watch a 5 game series of CCL and watch them lose. Like it's so hard to watch your team lose, and I feel so bad when it happens too, because I always like pop in with them after a series and stuff and chat with them, and you can tell they're just down on themselves about it already, and I never know like what to say to make them feel better. I don't think there is anything. They just know like, okay, well, we got to fix some stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like coming in and you're like, yep, you guys suck. I don't know what else to say. No.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But
uh,
yeah, no, it's cool. And then, not having the draft, like you said, there was a lot of for what it's worth, I do wish we had a draft.
mhm.
And in hindsight, at the time, I didn't when they were like mentioning, hey, you want to do a draft or not? I was like, I honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I think we're gonna be fine regardless of what we go with. But like you said, there's a lot less variables, a lot less unknowns that are gonna. You have a plan. You're gonna stick with it. You can stick with it. You might be able to flex around a little bit, just depending on how some tryouts go, et cetera, et cetera.
You
But
know,
mhm.
one thing that was a little bit scary without having the draft is everybody was kind of making their own teams, and I was a little worried that some of our people would get sniped. Like I know that there was one or two players that maybe had a discussion at some point with other orgs, or other orgs had approached them and stuff. And I was a little bit worried, if we lose one or two of our key players here that we really were expecting to come back and they didn't, and they decided to go some other direction, and with all these teams already formed, we were going to be left really behind in our drafting this, well, I guess, lack of draft, our team forming this season, I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. And for what it's worth, the players, they're super.
Hmm.
We're all super cool, super transparent with one another. We talk about whatever we're thinking, and it's very. We're so lucky to work with such a just open-minded group of people,
Yeah.
and professional. Most of all, very professional group of guys. Um, I mean, at least when it comes to the business dealings, they like to meme. They will meme out of their minds. No, but yeah, I was a little worried about that. For me, I was worried that all these teams were forming, that
Hmm.
being able to kind of pick solid players to add to our roster would be impossible because we didn't drop full teams.
Hmm.
We didn't have
Yeah,
that. We
a lot of players this season were coming as like a package deal. Like if you're
all
picking
or
this
nothing.
person, you have to pick this person and this person with me, and that's the way it's gonna work. So a lot of like the org's decision making it this season, it just wasn't there. Like we had no say in a lot of draft decision and roster decisions this season. I mean, um, to some extent, I'll say.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And again, working with some of these guys it's really awesome, and they're very open minded. For a few seasons, I was like, hey, this is the direction I want to go in. This is kind of the idea that I have. They were super on board with it. They were all about it. And then this season, it was like, all right, you know what? The tables have turned a little bit. Things are kind of they're different.
Hmm.
What do you guys want? Let, let,
Hmm.
let's let's do this thing. Obviously, there fundamental core beliefs that I have, for what kinds of players we would like to have to represent WildHeart. But at the end of the day, what do you need? What are you looking for? If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. Anything you guys want to ask about this season of CCL, about the roster. We just announced our roster, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Obviously, returning, we have Zergling returning, we have Weary Day returning, and we have Mason Blaze returning as well. Really, really great guys. And
And
then
we
we,
before you just talk about the
okay,
new people coming in,
yeah, yeah,
not everyone's returning to the same roles. Which most
true.
people, well, I would say most people in CCL that have been scrimming us are already aware of this, so we can say now. But Zergling is not going to be our flex player this season anymore. He is going back to off lane.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
there's that. There's that little bit of tea for you guys.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's going back to the off lane. So then you're like, oh, who's playing? Who's going to be the flex player?
Hmm.
IB Teams. IB Teams was on Storm last season, and we managed to pick him up, and he's been a really great addition so far. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how like all their personalities just kind of just like
Oh,
fuse
they
so
mesh
well together.
so well together. So well.
It's so
The
good.
the other day I had to get like CCL needs confirmation that the players are actually agreeing to play for our org, obviously. So I was collecting all those. And I'm sure most of you know that WildHeart's kind of got a reputation for being a little memey kind of jokesters. And I message Ivy for his confirmation, and he goes, "My hands are tied behind my back, and I'm blindfolded. They're making me play for them." I had to send that to CCL with him going, "No, just kidding," because I needed the whole screenshot.
That's funny. Let me finish the rest of the roster. Ivy Teagues is playing flex. We have Roger that's coming in from Wild Heart Omega. Also from he played on Heavy Impact with Mason Blaze as well back in the day. Roger
Hmm.
is coming in as our sub, but he's also a flex player. He's gonna be a another flex player for us this season. Playing all the roles, and I'm really excited about this one personally because this is our first LATAM player that is
Yeah.
participating in CCL. Um, he is from Peru and going to be playing on some pretty insane ping. He has been playing on insane ping this entire time and performing at the level that he's been performing at. And he's such a pleasure to just talk to and just be around. He's so pure. I love it. I love it. He's awesome. And then
He was another
mhm.
one that also memed in the confirmation messages I needed for CCL. He was like, I don't know. I think I have to think about it a little bit more.
uh, And then last but not least, we're picking up Haben as our tank player.
Mhm.
And Jazzy, real quick, Haben, who's that? Where did he come from? What happened?
So Haben, he is a Korean player. He's been playing a lot in Heroes Rise Contender Series, and to be honest, tank was the hardest role for us to fill this season. We lost Tremor going into this season, so we had to find someone to fill it. But with all these rosters already deciding, or all these players already deciding what teams they were playing on, who they wanted to play with, we were really looking at newer talent to fill that tank role, which is not the always the best case to be in because your tank role usually, it's usually a leader on the team, somebody that needs to be able to call engages, that kind of stuff. So we tried out quite a few tanks here, and we were kind of getting down to a handful, I'll say, well, a few of them. And Hayden came up on our players' radars, and they wanted to try him out. And as soon as they did, it was just like he clicked. Once Haben had his try with the entire team, it was basically that was it. There was no looking back. They were going Haben.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It was actually weird. I think it was Weary Day that kind of brought him up. He noticed him in HRCS, brought it up, and I'm like, let's let's
Yeah, I
look.
think
I went
Mason
back
too
and
was
looked at
watching
some
him.
VODs. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. When we make these teams, it's very much like I am just working with who we already have on this roster, and who they enjoy playing with. Because obviously they need to have synergy. They need to be able to work together. They need to get along together. Otherwise, things are going to fall apart. Um, Obviously, we as an org want to like the people too, but a lot of our players' input comes into it as well. So
yeah.
it was kind of exciting to, this is Roger and Haben are going to be maybe two. Is there any new faces really that aren't like ex HGC pros coming into the scene?
There's an entire roster, I guess, from
Oh,
Simplicity, right?
yeah,
Am
that's
I
true.
leaking that? Am I
Sim.
leaking that? I don't
No,
think
no,
so. No, no,
okay, I think
it's
everybody's been
out there.
posting the rosters and discords and stuff at this point, so I think it's out
Yeah,
there. But yeah, like there's outside of that, there's not really like a ton of new faces coming in, so it's kind of exciting that even with the draft the way it is and the teams already like forming their teams and bringing back old friends and stuff like that, we're still getting some fresh talent into our team specifically.
yeah, absolutely. And then real quick, before I go way back to answer Key's question, to answer Danny MF CEO, are there any ping or communication issues with Haben? Obviously, ping is always going to be a factor. He's playing from
Hmm.
South Korea. That's going to be there. But it doesn't really feel that way. And I've only sat in scrims and watched a couple times. Sometimes you feel it. A new Barak is a little late on something or whatever, but it doesn't. He's pretty solid at working around the ping. And then when it comes to like language barrier, at the end of the
He's,
day,
he speaks hot.
he speaks HOTS.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He'll communicate in a way that we understand that he wants to go in,
Hmm.
or what he's looking at. He's pinging, and we the players know kind of just like what needs to be happening, and because he knows what needs to be happening in the game, everyone is kind of like already playing accordingly. You
Yeah.
don't have to say much; it kind of just happens. Uh, it's about maybe afterwards discussing some of the
Yeah.
ideas and things, that part, that they have their workaround, they got the hey god chat. uh,
Yeah, so because his English is not the best, we have a chat after that the our players will sit down after a scrim and just like chat out stuff in the chat so that he can just like I think he's probably running stuff through Google Translate and going back and forth to be able to communicate everything okay, but it seems to be working fine and like scrims are going well, so I'm not too concerned about it. I think for our players, one thing that I'm reminding them of is to try and call hero names in game, not player names when they're targeting people. Because I've been watching scrims and they'll be like cure, 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 and I don't know that Haben knows who cure is. So I want them to be calling, Zeratul, Zeratul.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, honestly, it doesn't really seem to be too much of an issue. He's fitting very well in with the roster right now, and I'm really excited to see how they grow together.
No. And then let me go back up to Key's question before
Hmm.
it just disappears forever into the nether. How
How
much
much
of an
of
input? Yeah, how much of an
oh,
input do you have, Goon, on the buildup of the roster? I guess from here on out, if we have more features, and not so much about specific players, but more like if you prefer a team has such and such quality or attributes. Um, Honestly, at this point, it's like I think we've done a pretty good job at just kind of filtering out, or at least kind of just seeing how people are over time, whether they're on WildHeart or not, just kind of how they present themselves in the community in general. I think at the end of the day, it's like, is this person easy to get along with? Are they professional? Um, are they jerks? Are they good people? Whatever the case may be. Um, if they can easily fit into these, this is a normal human being that isn't a psycho. Yeah, okay, well, we'll give it a shot and we'll see what's up. And you're like, well, how would you know if this person's a psycho? You have no idea how many Smurfs I'm running around the Storm League with that I get flamed, and I'm just like, oh, okay, bloop. I'll save that one for later. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of psychos, but anyways, how much input do I have now? I trust Jazzy completely. I trust the players completely to, go forward. They know they're normal human beings. They know what's going on. At the end of the day, it's what who they want to play with, what vision they would have for that specific team. As long as we're representing WildHeart in a positive light, I don't have to sit there
Yeah.
and micromanage any.
Goon trusts us. I
Yeah.
submitted our roster before I told him it's final.
Yeah.
That's how much input he has.
Yeah, exactly.
Dice says, I have a question for Goon. Why do you hate Americans? Because there's only one on your current roster. So much Canada, so little American.
Let's just be real. Canada is just America light, so it's okay. It's okay. It works out. North America, it's North America. For me, initially I had this whole like my primary. I want to have a North American team. Thinking like full U.S. talent, da 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 da, and then somehow Weird Day sneaks in and he's Canadian. I didn't realize that until after the fact. And I was just like, oh, okay,
We
all right.
actually didn't increase in Canadians between last season and this season. Just saying. Because we had Weary Day, Mason, and Tremor. Tremor left, but we picked up Ivy. So Canadians levels still stay the same, but we did lose an American. So
Yeah, we lost. Yeah, we lost too. We was Slug and
oh
Lucy
yeah,
too.
we lost two. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but we picked up South American LATAM player and South Korean. So, no,
Canadians are slowly taking over WildHeart between me and Crush and all the Canadians on the
you
CCL
know
team.
what? It's the aesthetic. It's the aesthetic. I moved quickly past the whole region thing.
hmm
It's just like this isn't that. I don't know. It's not a hill I'm gonna die on here. I'm
I
willing to
think
just kind of open it up.
Yeah, I think this season too, like it was very clear the people returning, their goal is to get to a LAN. And so if that is our goal for
Hmm.
this season, you can't really be like, okay, well, we're only going to limit ourselves to American players then. Like it's not gonna work. If that's the goal and that's what
Yeah.
the players want to do, you need to consider the best of the best to get you there. Dice asks, how will HRCS teams with CCL selected players be affected? I.e., Porky got picked. What happens to his HRCS spot? So for those players that were just drafted, the rule for HRCS is that you need to have played in less than 4 series, I believe,
Hmm.
of CCL. So they can still play HRCS, the finals this weekend, and the Champions of Champions next weekend as well, because they have not played in any CCL spots. Just like how a lot of 6 players can play in HRCS, they also haven't played 4 series. So you might see June in there. Um, Lupus could play in there. Some of those 6 players that didn't get in that many series are technically allowed to play in HRCS.
They got picked up. The timing wouldn't be fair if we were just like, oh, sorry, you got announced on the roster, you can't play even though you're in this final. No, it's like Jazzy said, we had that rule there in
hmm
place. Now for the next, for the future of HRCS, we'll have to wait and see, because if Borky starting, on
Yeah,
on on the
yeah.
team or whatever the case may be, then obviously he can. So then now what I like is that you have some of these players that were playing in HRCS that are in CCL. Maybe we start seeing some more mix-ups in the amateur levels. Here's the storm. Whenever
hmm
you have some change and growth or whatever at the highest levels of play, that stuff does affect Uh, everything else around it. So looking forward to seeing what teams do in the future as far as amateurs concerned.
All right.
Uh,
Crush says, since you can't have the team gather around a summer night campfire on a mountaintop for team building exercises, what's the next best thing? How do you foster a team environment that goes beyond showing up for scheduled activities? I'll take this one because I a lot of this I think just falls to our guys' personalities. Like they get along so well together that the team building exercises not really something we do, but something that they do as a team just naturally is like after scrims or just hanging out in the Discord all the time, playing ARAMs together, playing TFT together. Just in general, like they all seem to enjoy each other's company. So we're very fortunate that our team just naturally gets along like that, and we really don't need to intervene in any kind of tension or issues between them. Like we're very, very lucky that our team is like this, I would say.
Yeah.
I always find it so cute when it's just like nothing scheduled and I see 4 or 5 of them in Discord just hanging out together. Like,
Yeah.
I
Playing
love that.
TFT, they're screaming about some comp in TFT or like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah.
it.
There's a question here from Broomboy.
Hmm.
Sure this has been asked before, but considering the off season for each format, draft versus freeform roster, which do you prefer as of now from an owner ops POV? I'll let you answer that one first.
I like the draft personally. And this is just because I think there's more opportunity for the orgs to draft decent teams. It keeps the league a little bit more balanced, and I think it also creates more opportunities for up and coming players because this season, since there was no draft, we really didn't have to dive too deep into new talent or look at any new players outside of the ones that we were serious about that likely, if there was a draft, would have gotten picked up or considered for other teams before we could have picked them up, maybe. So, we knew we were going to pick up Ivy. We didn't have to try out any other flex players. We knew we were going to pick up Roger. We didn't have to try out any other flex players because we knew that they were going to us and we wouldn't have to worry about someone sniping them in the draft. Um, I also am not a fan of the players just making their rosters and kind of selling it to the orgs because you kind of got like this is a big issue back in season one is like the gatekeeping of new talent and them not getting opportunities. And because they went back to this, well, we can just let players make their own teams. You have all these people coming out of retirement to play again because they can just play with their friends now, and there's really like zero input from some of these orgs on their teams. Like they did not have any input on who was on their team, to be
Yeah,
completely honest. Like
yeah,
what's the point of having orgs, right? You might as well just have people freeform their teams.
yeah. For me, I prefer the draft as well. I like having to do my homework and research players and look
Hmm.
around, have backup plans to backup plan to backup plan. It becomes its own little game in and of itself outside of playing the game, right? You're drafted when you play Heroes of Storm. You're in the draft. The draft is a game, and then when you're in the game, you're playing that game. Well, drafting players for your team is that it's very similar, and I like trying to trying to find the pieces to put them together. And also, considering that this is CCL, the Community
Yeah.
Clash League, you would assume that the orgs involved are probably paying attention to the community and seeing what's going on and seeing what people are playing well or not, or whatever the case would be, and kind of be able to draft themselves a decent enough team. Um, so they should be doing their homework. I like to.
Yeah, the draft really rewards the orgs that are involved in actually following these players and like or even helping these players grow to be at the level to participate in CCL. Having teams just make their own team and then going to whatever org that isn't in the know and isn't keeping up with going is on in the scene is just rewarding the people that aren't as engaged in CCL as well. So it's a really good point.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. Like, hey, there were teams that drafted they drafted what they drafted and they ended up where
Hmm.
they ended up, and I was like, hey, and that's what they wanted. That's what they
Hmm.
say that's what they wanted, and then come now with this format, they're like, oh, this is actually what we wanted. The draft was actually it was actually like griefing us. Now I can operate in the way that I want to. It's just like, shut up. I, I like for me, I'm competitive. I want to see my team beat the other teams, sure. But at the end of the day, I'm also competitive in the form like in the sense that WildHeart, when it comes to an Oregon, here's the storm right now. I want we are completely set apart from the other ones, at least the ones that are engaged with the community. And I want to set ourselves apart that way and let people know that we're that we are invested and we do care. And this is our game. This is the community's game. We're the ones keeping it going competitively. And hey, that's cool. And we should feel good about that. And I don't know. I just like. I just like knowing that if a draft were to come back, Walhart would be okay. We'd probably be
Hmm.
like really good, and, because we know what's up. We'll know what's up.
I think another point to consider with the draft is that let's be completely honest, Heroes of the Storm is not a huge game. There is not a huge pool of talent to pick
Hmm.
from. So the draft does keep these teams competitive. I'm a little bit worried. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe we're going to be completely off, but with these teams being able to just form their own rosters, you're going to have a huge difference between the top team and the bottom team.
Hmm.
It's skill wise. Like it's going to make some of these games very boring for the viewers to watch, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. Let me
Oh, there's
see.
super teams, let's be honest, because there's no
Yeah,
draft. So,
yeah. I mean, and yeah, I guess you can kind of say that was the case in previous seasons, but at least like, I mean, you had opportunities to kind of
mm,
shake things up a bit, you know.
yeah.
But Rock Your World's asked to the org draft question. If we don't get if we don't, I'm assuming get draft going forward, uh, don't draft going forward, then how can we promote move upgrade teams to 5 to 6? It makes it so hard to shake it up. As yeah, exactly, and that's the question. How do you do that? And at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the org's individual mentality and idea of why they joined CCL in the first place. When they were pitched this idea of CCL, this is a community thing. CCL said they wanted Path to Pro, all these things. So if if this is something that you're passionate about, I would also I would hey reach out to CCL, tweet at them, chat, Reddit, whatever. Hey, we'd like to see the draft come back at some point. If that's what you're worried about, and that's what you want to see. They listen to the feedback. They listen to your feedback for sure. So I think that's super important to do as well. So it would be very difficult to move up team to five. I don't think it's possible. Like right now with like just the level of the overall skill level, I don't think it's possible without you know probably bringing down the overall level of play a significant amount. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Would
Do
be
we
cool to
just
see a relegation
promote
though.
the top HRCS team? Yeah, relegation. Well,
Ooh.
I am always a fan of relegation because I think teams that have been around for several seasons now and been in bottom eight the entire time need something to kind of like light a fire under their butt kind of thing. Like get them doing something different because they're just coasting through it when other people want their shot and their chance. But the thing with the relegation is obviously CCL handpicked these orgs to work with. And so you can't really do like they want to have control over what orgs they're working with. So if you do a relegation, they kind of lose that control.
Which player is your go-to interviewee when you win every series? Oh man. Usually it's like who's doing the interview and everyone starts like pointing fingers at each other. Slug, they start adding each other. Slug, this guy, no, no. And then it's like, all right, who can be the most who's just got the nice typical the nice post NBA post game interview, we'll get Weary to do it. He keeps it clear, concise. He can answer the questions without saying too much. It's either Weary or Zergling. I would like to see more. We'll see some other ones this season for
Slug
sure.
says he's doing every NGS interview because no one else will.
Yeah.
I think we just like try to cycle through everyone. Because they always ask before the series, like if you win, who you're sending, and we just try to give a different name every week.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everybody has to take their turn because nobody wants to do it.
Slug's a good interviewee.
We're just gonna still send Slug.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
exactly.
not on the roster, but you can take him for the interview. He knows everything anyway. No, actually, while we're just on the topic of Slug, he has been so obviously he stepped away from playing this season, but he's been extremely helpful in helping us form this season's roster and very much still involved in WildHeart, and I really appreciate all of his help. Yeah.
It takes an inter to know an inter, and he didn't see any inters, so he's I'm just kidding. Wondering like now that teams
uh,
essentially show up saying, "Here we are." What do you think Org's role are in this process? How do you bring
that's
value to a team outside of just being their entry ticket into CCL? Yeah,
that
exactly.
is an excellent question.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a tough one because I mean that's essentially what some orgs are. That's essentially what it feels like. You know, coming into the season. It's just like, hey, we just got to ride on this. We just got to attach ourselves to somebody here so we can, be able to compete. And it feels a little soulless at times. It's just like, cool, we just have this team represents this org, and that's just it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens outside of that. There's no engagement. There's no whatever. Um, I don't know.
They're lucky if someone outside of the team is scheduling scrims for them. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, and I guess to be honest, it's like being an org in CCL. Like, how much value can you bring to the player outside of just sending them you know the
mhm.
check every month. It's a small game. It's a small thing community, and it's not like we can. It's not like we have we can pay our players a little bit more than the other guy, than the other orgs or whatever. It's not like the rules aren't allowed for that. Uh, maybe it's a different cut at the end of the season, different price pool cuts potentially. But at the end of the day, I think for us, it's more of like, hey, we're an actual community here. Everyone's chill. Everyone's doing things together. We're not even playing HOTS all the time. In the Discord, we're watching like Halo, or we're
I was
watching.
just gonna ask, is there a Discord command?
There should be one. I think I just saw it earlier. Like we're in there playing other
Yeah.
games. We're watching movies together. We're hanging out. And half the time we're just sitting in there just BSing. You
Hmm.
know. And
Anyone. Anyone can come in here and
anyone.
do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like WildHeart has events almost every day. Like our Discord is meant to be a place where you can just drop by and hang out anytime. Like today we have this happening. There's going to be a watch party this afternoon for Heroes Rise Contender Series. After that, there's a stream night event. On Wednesday, we do Halo night. Like there's always something happening between our Academy team, our CCL team playing in NGS. There's always an event to come in, drop by, hang out with some of the Wild Heart crew, and do the watch parties and stuff in there. Like it's happening almost every day. So make sure you're in
Yeah.
there.
And one of the pieces of feedback that I got from players that I kind of talked to during the off season and seeing if they were interested in playing for WildHeart was like, man, it feels like as an outsider looking in, you guys have stuff going on. It's nice to be recognized, like to see an org actually promote their players on Twitter or like make a cool graphic or post a meme or some clips. You guys are actually doing things that are fun and somebody I wish I was a part of that
Mm,
that was that and I was like dang so people people I guess when I saw value I assumed in my own head I have this thing that's like well what kind of extra cash or sponsors da 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 at the end of the day the value that we bring is you feel like you belong somewhere and you do belong
hmm.
and it's a good feeling that you're important. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's one of the things I love about Wild Heart is I've been in the Hoth community for a lot of years now. And not every community makes you feel that way. Like it really does. There's a lot of out there that just feel like eh, I don't even know how to word it. Just feels like you're always on the outside of the circle, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so this one's great because, like I said, anyone can jump in that Discord and come hang out with us on any of these watch parties. We're super open and available for feedback, all that kind of stuff. It's just cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Is there
it
an
was
events
so.
calendar? Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's so easy to join WildHeart after like building up Girls Gang Squad and the whole like my whole mentality there is that anybody is welcome to come play with us. It was so easy to join WildHeart because it had that same kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, let's just have a good time, do cool things with cool people, and just see what happens.
Hmm.
Is there an events calendar? If you go to the Discord, there's a bunch of events that are like up there that you can like
Yeah,
see and
at
click
the very
interested in.
top it says like 5 events right now.
But there is a calendar that exists that is not available to the public. That's Salvaje, by the way, who's running this whole stream right now. There's an entire calendar that she has, and she puts all her stuff on there. All the amazing things that you see in that Discord and on the social media and stuff. Salvaje is like destroying it. She's a savage. She's awesome at it, and really,
I would say
really
that if we
grateful to
were to
have her
make
there.
calendars, it would be like a complete, I think a little bit of a mess because a lot of things aren't scheduled until like a few days before for matches and
Yeah.
stuff that you want to do watch parties for.
Hmm.
But most like stream team or big events like when we did Love in the Nexus, that was like scheduled well ahead of time. But yeah, I think the best place is just to check that Discord at the top, see what events are scheduled because everything is on there.
Yeah.
How many times a day is Salvaje scolding WildHeart leadership?
No comment. Look, she just tells me where to be, where to stand. Find a position to sit in and don't move. I've probably like moved out of the frame that she has already cut. Yeah, but no, yeah. Join the Discord. There's a bunch of events that we got. I think there's like 4 or 5 right now that are scheduled. We got some other stuff that's coming up as well. And yeah. And we like there's a D&D group. There's a D&D
Oh
group that
yeah.
meets in there, and it's Goliath. It's so cool just to see like people come in and they do nothing. They just like they don't care. They don't care about Halo. They don't care about anything. They're just like I'm here for D&D. Like that's sick. That's cool. And they meet every couple weeks. I think it's every couple weeks or a few weeks, something like that.
Hmm.
And Salvaje puts up. She edits it, and there's a YouTube video you can go and watch. By the way, WildHeart Esports on YouTube. Go check it out. You can go see the last D&D fun shot that they did, and it's really good. It's really cool, man.
Sal's just she does so much work. Like
She does, and you know what? I'm just like, and I've learned a lot because
Mhm.
it's just like I'm just under this. I'm like I'm at that's a lot that's going on there, you know, and it's like man, are you sure you? It's like oh, this is just what I like. This is how I am. This is what I want to do, and it's like okay, like that's not me. I can't be that way
Mhm.
all the time. But like just because I'm not that way doesn't mean that that doesn't apply to her. She's her own person. She can do whatever she wants and how she wants, and yeah, and I'll support that as best as I can. I love it. It's awesome. I have a question. When are you going to become a Wild Heart champion? Oof, Palagoon? Maybe Goondrax, the Dragonborn, will come back at some point. There's some VODs out
So,
there hidden somewhere.
Says, please keep going. I'm blushing.
Hmm.
No, but really though, like just to be clear on what she does, my job is just the CCL guys. Like I do everything involved with the CCL side of stuff right now. Salvaje does like all of the events, the stream team stuff, any graphics, our Twitter. Like she is running pretty much everything outside of
Hello.
that. That is all Salvaje. Um, yeah, so it's a lot. She does a lot, guys.
Just tell me where to go, and I'll be there. Every
Mhm.
once in a while, I'll show up with a random like. Actually, this AMA was we talked about this. Was this yesterday? The day before? It was the day before, I think. It was on
Thursday?
Thursday. It was like Thursday afternoon. I was like, "Hey, I think this would be a good idea to do." And they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, we got to do it." Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, random ideas I'll come up with, and then sometimes when it comes to just trying to like we have our own discussions, we have our own ideas, we'll have our own disagreements and whatnot, and we'll have to sit there and think about things, and uh, from time to time I'll be the one that's like, no, let's not do that, or okay, we'll do this or whatever. But for the most
Mhm.
part, everything just runs smoothly, and it's cool. It's awesome. We had like for example yesterday we had a Twitter our team Twitter announcement was going to be a little bit different. However, some things had to change, instead of throwing away the original idea that we had, we're going to be doing something different with it.
Mhm.
I was like, hey, let's hold on to this. We'll do something a little bit different in a couple days. So,
Well, we got it out. We got the roster announced at
hmm,
least.
yeah,
That's what's most important.
yeah, definitely.
Did Salvaje put together this stream overlay? It's so good.
She did. She
Hmm.
did. She did.
I love this stream overlay. It's so cool.
We find that. Oh, would WildHeart ever consider putting up a team in another esport? Has anyone ever come to you with a team in another game who wants to join up? Okay, yes. Good question. Would I ever consider putting up a team in another esport? Absolutely. Has anyone ever come to you with a team in another game who wants to join up? Absolutely. But here's the problem. it's a random Twitter DM from some person I don't know with result that with there's nothing there. It's just like, hey, are you looking for a team in X? I mean, I guess that would be cool, right? But I'm not just about to go and just sign a team of five random people and just be like, you're going to represent WildHeart, and that's the end of that. If the people in the community are doing stuff and they're competing in things, there is a particular interest in a game that they're playing, and they want to perform, they want to be a team, they want to compete, and okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's go that route. I don't like the idea of trying to force too many things, trying to force teams to compete or like just uh, and I learned this from Rainbow Six Siege. I had a Rainbow Six Siege team back in the day, and then different iterations of that, and it was difficult. And at the end of the day, what it boiled down to was like nobody really had a sense of uh, pride in necessarily representing an organization. They were kind of just in it for their own benefit, and that's really hard to weed out initially. Like people come in, they'll tell you what you want to hear. You hear those things, and it's kind of like, well, and then like over the course of some time, it kind of just fizzles away. I'm someone that
I
likes
think
to have a relationship. Huh?
I was just gonna say too, I think one of the hard parts about branching out to other games is that with the size of our org and the money we make, which is basically nothing,
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, come play for us under the Wild Heart banner. We have nothing to give you in return. You're just gonna rep our name,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
So it's kind of trying to find some kind of agreement where the players are also going to benefit because we don't want to just use them for free advertising for our name. That doesn't sit
absolutely.
right with us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like I'm like, hey, here's I'm gonna pay your salary so you can live, because people are like, oh, you're an org, I'm gonna sign this contract and now I don't have to go get a job, and it's like, yeah, get real, bro. Like that's not how this is. Unless you're like
We're
Cloud
not,
Nine or
yeah, like we're
Liquid.
not TL, we're not Liquid, yeah, we're not C9, we're not TSM, we're not here able to pay your salaries. So
Yeah, it's like, sorry, you're still gonna have to go suit up and go work at AutoZone. Like that's just what it's gonna be. Uh, I mean, I work a full-time job. That's what we do. That's what has to happen.
my husband
Uh,
works a full-time job.
there you go. So, but yeah, that's another thing. So, but if people are interested and they want to do stuff, and if people within the community are pursuing something or pursuing projects or whatever the case may be, if somebody got really into, for example, I'll just give an example. Somebody really got into TFT and they were casting TFT or doing events or competing, and that's was something that was, hey, maybe okay, they could do something. Hey, I
Mhm.
would like to represent WildHeart, and let's do it, man. That sounds like a plan. Let's go for it. Same thing with like Halo or Valorant or
Oh no, he says he's gonna go pro in TFT now.
oh boy.
Okay, everybody wants to do a TFT tournament. But again, even running things like that, like it takes money. Like you want a prize pool, a little bit of a prize pool running some kind of tournament, right?
Hmm.
And like right now outside of CCL, that's our only form of income is the money that they pay us
Hmm.
through, our actual like just monthly paychecks and our stipends that they offer. So everything is working on a very tight budget when it comes to grand dreams like that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
impossible. It just takes a lot of
Hmm.
volunteer time and passion.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that for me, it's like esports is the industry is driven. It moves because there's passion.
Hmm.
And a lot of people have their passion used and abused. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that ever. I
Yeah.
don't want anyone to ever feel that way. So like it's like walking this fine line. Like with Salvaje, a lot of the things that she does here everything that she does is, for example, is just passion. She loves this kind of thing. This is what she wants to do. This is what fuels her. And I have to walk this fine line of like, hey, do what you love. Do this because you love this, and then like, hey, can you do this thing for me? Like get this done when you can. Like it's difficult for me to kind of balance that sometimes. But I've been very fortunate to have awesome people all around me that have done and given a lot. Jazzy Salvaje, retired hero,
Mm-hmm.
big that guy thinks he's retired, hidden away forever. Like that guy has done a lot for me personally. Like just like the conversations that we have had, stuff like that. I consider him to be like like a mentor almost. All right, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. He's not gonna let me live that one down. But I mean, Slug Hunter, e- everybody that's been involved with the players,
I think
Zerglin and Weird.
everyone wants a TFT tournament now. They're just saying, "We'll play for free. We'll play for a day old sandwich." Dudettes, dudettes as well. She's been in here helping a ton as well. Saying cough cough in chat.
That's true, dude. Sorry. That's right. We're like using the group chat in Discord with it's me, Jazzy, Sabah, and Dudettes, and I told Dudettes nothing. I'm like, hey, Dudettes, it's the AMA. Don't join us and messes up the cameras or whatever. But it's my bad, my bad. Dudettes,
She's
she's new. Like she's
mhm.
recent ad, right? From while she was a WildHeart Omega team manager, and then from there it was just like, hey, she's like, I want to be involved with some of the growth and some of the things that you're planning for a while. And there's a lot that she's doing and
Yeah.
she's planning that you guys don't even know. You guys don't. It's
Cool. And
awesome.
like she has so many ideas and stuff for what she wants to do, and it's not even within what she like her role of a team manager for academy team. It's totally outside of that. It's just purely I have ideas and I want to do it and I like Wild Heart. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And to me, I find like if things like this happen organically because people want to do it,
Hmm.
you're gonna find the best kind of growth, the most organic, deep rooted growth possible. And then when things do start popping off, it's gonna flourish, it's gonna be sustainable, it's gonna be healthy, and it's gonna be good. It's like taking care of a lawn. You got to start easy, get make sure those roots settle in nice and deep, and then you start to fertilize and you prune here, and then you have this great work of art. So that's what's happening here, and I'm learning
Sounds like you're speaking from experience. That
that.
lawn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I'm telling you, it, it's got my brain to. But there was another thing in here. Is there any contingency plans if Microsoft does decide to shut down if it happens mid-season? Hey, that happens, and hey, Hots was a good ride, man. There's other things to get into, and you
Hmm.
know, I think that we'll
The
we'll
community will
cross that
still
bridge when
be
we get there.
here.
Yeah,
That's the thing is that we're spending a lot of time trying to connect with you guys and building up our community. It's not just about our CCL team. That's not where, Wild Heart starts and stops. We have more things going on. So even if Microsoft decided to come in and shut down the game, we still have the community here. We still have things outside of HOTS going on. Um, that's more like a question that, CCL needs to plan for, I think. Um, but even if that does happen, we still got a couple seasons to sort that out. This season and probably it's not announced obviously, but if you just go look at the last calendar, a season probably starting in fall, and then another spring season of 2023, and then the Microsoft takeovers after that, right? Like it's not supposed to come through till like June, July 2023, right?
yeah. So it's clear you guys take the role seriously and are definitely alluding to the view that some orgs are pulling their weight. What can realistically be done to improve things for players? CCL set obligations, something else with the new format. Is there any fear that players will, or maybe already do, have the opinion that orgs are redundant and should be done away with if it continues? I used to kind of spend a lot of time thinking about this. Like, man, it feels like some orgs aren't pulling, whatever the case, whatever. I found that wasn't for me healthy. And if anything, it kind of just was stunting Wildheart's own personal growth because I felt like I was trying to do things because other people weren't, and it wasn't necessarily things I wanted to be doing. Uh,
Hmm.
it got really off. It got really weird for me personally. Um, so I just kind of like I don't think about that so much. I don't. And CCL has a product that they have, and they want to build it in the way that they want. They have a vision, a plan, and as long as you know Walhart can do its thing and live in there without getting completely obliterated for some reason, um, it's fine. It'll be good for us. Everybody else, you know what? It doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, people are going to want to play for WildHeart, be involved with WildHeart because they just like they just like us. They like the vibe. They like what we represent as people. Yeah, that's that. And I will always try to work with people that are willing to kind of just try new things and work collaboratively with the community that we. I think that is the strongest form of success. So hopefully that answers your question, but it was a non-answer, I guess. But I don't think that for the most part I don't think too many players feel that the orgs are redundant. I don't think that's the case.
I honestly don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some players
There's
that
got to be
were on
some.
certain orgs that do feel like the orgs were kind of what's the point, but I don't think like players that are in the more engaged orgs feel that way because we're actually doing stuff for them and taking care of like scheduling their scrims and you know doing that side of stuff where there definitely is some players that were scheduling their own scrims. The orgs are very like hands off, didn't do anything
Yeah.
really. So I'm sure there are some players that do feel like the orgs are kind of pointless, but hopefully none of our players feel that way.
Yeah.
That's my hope at least.
Nah, I don't. Nah, I don't think that's the case. And if so, send your concerns to Jazzy. I'm just kidding. Yeah. How would you fix it if you were empowered to do so? Fix what exactly? Sorry. I'm trying to go back. Let me go back and read the other questions. But
The orgs being redundant.
oh yeah, how would I fix that? Um, so when there are questions of like process improvement and personal accountability and things like that, my mind goes to the biggest frame of reference I have for that kind of thing, and that was the military. When I was in the military, and it was you have your initial feedback with a subordinate or with your supervisor. There were some expectations that were set. This must be done. This must be done. This is what we're looking to do. This is what this is what I would like from you, and this is what you could expect from me. Um, you do those, and then you do that over the course of the year. Then you have your midterm feedback, kind of see where things are at, and then you have your the last one they call it the performance review. You would have that, and then you would go through. Okay, this is what we talked about at the beginning of the year. This is where we were at in the middle of the year. Now this is where we're at now. All the like, what did we meet these goals? Yes, yes, no, yes, unclear. Let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on and go forward. That kind of thing doesn't necessarily happen um, in this space, and I understand like I, I don't think you need to have this kind of military structure for every single thing in life, but I will say it did make things a little easier. There's a little black. It was you made things pretty black and white, and things kind of either got better. At the very least, they stayed the same, or they got better. And if there was a problem, if things were going wrong, then you can go back and see the chain of events that led to that point that where failures occurred, and you can fix those things accordingly. Somebody gets fired, or maybe we got to do some remedial stuff, whatever the case would be. I think maybe something like that could be beneficial. That's just me, though. That's just the way I think about it. No, 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 no. No, you're fine, Blue Boy. I appreciate the question, actually.
Yeah, no, I think you're asking questions. You're asking good questions. You're
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
really good questions. These are a lot of these questions you're asking are things that we think about a lot. Like really, like what is our role at this point with no draft and players making their own rosters? It's good questions to ask. It's things like, nobody is unaware. I think for the most part, if anybody does follow CCLs and the rosters and what's going on, I don't think anyone's unaware of how this season played out. So it's things people are probably wondering at the end of the day.
I don't know. We'll see. And wisdom is they're busy. There's a lot going on over there. They're getting into some riot events and stuff like that, right? Uh, from what I've been seeing, they're doing all kinds of different. We saw their torrent stuff. They're doing Halo. They got Rocket League. So uh,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be curious. Yeah, I'm curious to see where CCL ends up at in the long run. Relative to their other products. So if you like CCL and it's something that you want to see continue to see, try to support it how you can, however you
Hmm.
can. You know. So what else? What else? Any other questions? What are you thinking about, Jazzy? You're sitting there like,
No, no, I've got nothing.
no.
I was just thinking about the land for this season was popping into
Ooh,
my head. I was just wondering how much having a LAN at the end of this season is it will drive viewership, if at all. It's definitely driving player interest, I would say.
right. And
Well, in some ways not. Like to be completely honest, there are players that aren't returning this season because the LAN is mandatory to go to. Uh,
correct.
for really unfortunate reasons. It's not just I don't want to travel. It's like they can't travel, so they can't play this season of CCL. So but there for a lot of players, the fact that there was a LAN was a huge driving factor for them wanting to play this season.
Yeah, and that's why we saw some of the teams that formed also because
Yeah.
the rumors of the land were circulating, and if that's the case, we want to have the best shot possible, and we're gonna make this super team so that we can go to the land, uh, and that was part of like Mike. I knew that. I mean, it was just like, man, well, how do I compete against super teams being formed and still feel like I'm playing within the rules of the league, or at least the spirit of the league, and give myself and my players the best shot possible to get to them?
Hmm.
How do we do that? How do we? It's hard. Yeah, like initially it was like really hard. I was stressing out about that, but
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. I think I think a lot of people underestimate our team every season.
It's great. Welcome.
I'm already seeing those. I'm seeing those tier lists out there. I see where you're putting WildHeart, and I think we're ready to prove a lot of those people wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Like I'm
Uh,
in scrims. I know. Like I see what they're doing. They're already looking good.
yeah. It's funny. It's funny to see some of those tier lists. And at this point, it's just like I'm like, what was this person's rationale? Back in the day, I'm like, let's follow their logic. I'm just like, this guy has no brain, so I'm just not even gonna bother anymore. I don't, whatever.
I
Um,
like I keep underestimating us because it makes it easier for us to beat you.
yeah, it's fun. It's cool. Every season, I think season two was a rough one. That was a rough season for us, but overall, but
Hmm.
that yeah, people just love to hate, and we'll keep farming. We'll keep farming you. No problem. No problem.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for this season because I'm already seeing some of the scrims they're in right now, and there's nowhere to go but up.
Mhm.
Because they're still forming their synergies and getting to know each other and working through that language barrier with Haben. These other teams that were scrimming have been together. Some of them you're looking at Diamond Hands. A lot of their roster is the same roster from last season. Not as many growing pains there. Um, and some of the other teams we're scrimming have played those players have played together a lot, maybe not on the same rosters but in houses or scrims or just storm leaguing. They're all very very familiar with each other's play style and stuff like that. They like I wonder how much better can they really get this season, where I think we have
Ooh.
a lot of growth potential with our roster.
That was something that like I thought about a lot last season with like Oxygen, for example. Theoretically that team has been together for however X many seasons as that entity, and you would think that they would get, they would be super clean or whatever, and that ended up not being the case. So I'm curious to see if we see something like that happening again this season. I hope not, but oh, my mic is ass. What's that?
Oh. Is it fixed?
I will see. Is it fixed?
Okay, I think so. All right, we're good.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting the good from production. Okay, got it. How did you keep your hair from getting frizzy and humid? It's
You
look,
don't.
it,
You don't. You just live
you
with
know,
it. You embrace it.
I do use some product. I do use some product to kind of help with it, but you just deal with it. I work
Mm.
outside all day too, so.
Um,
What season was so far your favorite for WildHeart, not including the current one? They've all been my favorite season. Last season was cool. I enjoyed last season a lot because there were obviously season one will always be in my brain because that's the first season, wild team, wild drafts, we're looking good, feeling good. And then season three because of all the behind the scenes stuff that kind of happened that had to happen and did happen for us to find the success that we did, considering, we were playing, Zergling in the flex position, Slug changing from a support player to an off laner, and then learning that role. You know what I mean? And then bringing Tremor on. It was cool. Like it was. People didn't have high expectations for us, and hey,
yeah.
we pogged. So
I
it's
just said
fun.
season 3 because season 3 is when I got involved with WildHeart.
I I know that's why you said that.
No, I really do like all the guys on our team. They're all really fun to work with, and they're all very, very respectful, and I've never felt unwelcome or unwanted by any of our players. So I think they're all pretty great guys in general.
They're pretty sweet. They're pretty sweet. They're pretty sweet. I like having my random one-on-ones with them from
Mhm.
time to time. Zergling, like we'll start talking about when we start talking about the housing market, and we'll start talking about like taxes, and we start talking about like adult stuff. It's funny because it's like for the most part, a lot of the players that I do interact with are younger. They're college or whatever, and they're in school. They're going to work. They're younger. They're not professionals yet, but being able to like talk. I mean, we're hang on a second. Wait, we got Zergling. We got Zergling. He's a boomer. Weary Day's a boomer. I think IB's getting kind of boomery now. He's entering that realm of
Well,
boomery.
he's still in school, so I
He
mean, he can be
is.
in school and be a boomer, but I don't.
He is. But like, the, he's going for the big enchilada right now. He's got the big enchilada coming. So, but it's cool. It's fun. It's fun to talk life with everybody. Goon, you're not old. Stop pretending to be old. Okay. Look. I pretend to be old on camera so that when I'm in, Smurfing in Storm League and owning you guys, you're like, "Who is this Zoomer kid?" Like, it's me. It's me. Yeah, I gotta throw you off the scent.
Hmm.
If I could be one HOTS hero, or if you could be one HOTS hero, who and why? I would say people are gonna say, "Oh, Kerosene, he likes it." No, you know what? I'm gonna say Thrall.
Why? That's part of the
Because
question.
why? Oh, why? He's in tune with
Just
nature. The elements guide him. He's a Chad. Got some great hair. Teeth look good. You know the
I was gonna say
green
just to
hue,
make Crush mad.
just to make Crush mad. Absolutely. Jack of
Thrall
all
yells a lot.
trades. Yeah, he does. Jack of all trades, master of none. Unfortunately, but it's okay. Yeah, exactly. Stand up without groaning, dare all of you. Hang on, don't do not expose us like that. Don't do that. Hang on, I'm gonna have to mute real quick. All right. Whew. Ran out of breath on that one.
What steps can we take to see Crushinator overthrow our CCL caster overlords and claim the mighty throne of Big Crush?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to. Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to run, a big tournament of our own or something. Crush
um,
secretly a closet Abathur fan? No. Yeah, what hero would you be?
I don't know. I say I don't know because I don't super follow the lore of all the heroes in the
You
game.
don't have to
So,
follow them. I don't.
well, I
I
think if you're
follow them.
gonna try and identify with a hero, you need to know a little bit about them. You know?
Look, all I know is that Thrall is green. He's got muscles and he's badass. Okay, like that's why I want to go with Thrall.
um, I don't know. Syl's definitely my most played hero, but I don't know that I identify with her that much. um, yeah, I don't know. It's
And before she says like Muradin or something like that.
what?
I don't know. I
Mm.
saw you pogging on Muradin the other day. I'm like, she's a natural. She like you in GGS. You were destroying with that Muradin. You channeled Muradin. You were Muradin.
I've
You
just been
were
watching
flying with that.
I just been watching Haven so much in scrims.
That's what I was saying. I was watching in Alicia's chat. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? She's getting super sweaty. She just sent that dwarf toss like nothing. Holy, that's so funny. Like the only reason she's doing this, she's got the scrim data. She knows what's
Yeah,
up.
I'm just copying Haven's builds where I should and um no, I don't know. It's actually a tough question because I think that if you're asking me which one that I most identify with, I don't really know enough lore of the heroes. Jesse gives me Cassia vibes.
True.
Maybe
What's funny?
Joanna because I think Joanna is I've listened to a lot of their voice lines and she's like she takes things seriously but she has the most like driest stupid sense of humor and I really like that.
I like Cassia. I like Cassia because she's also like I don't know. When I see Cassia, she's pretty. She means business, but she also seems like she's caring, but she like kicks ass too. Like Johanna is like, I guess I'll clear waves sometimes. Cassia don't got time for that.
I did
um.
cosplay. I did cosplay as both Sergeant Hammer for my first BlizzCon,
Oh.
and my second one I did Nova, but her um like the Gladiator Nova cosplay.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that one.
The little Amazon one.
Yes, the Amazon. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Amazon Nova. I did
nice.
that one for my second BlizzCon.
Wait, you gotta post those pictures in the Discord.
I didn't have to dig them up. I don't. It's not great. I mean, it was my first time ever making the Sergeant Hammer one. That was easy because, like, obviously, I didn't build a tank around me. I just,
You're walking
I
around
just
the
put on,
convention center. Yeah.
I just put on like cargo pants and boots and found the tank top and
A
braided my
helmet.
hair with ribbons and ribbons and gloves and a helmet and a little hammer and I was good to go.
Nice.
But the Nova one, I actually was my first time like actually making cosplay and like getting like foam and getting all the stuff. Actually, it's in the closet right next to me. Here, I'll
Nice.
pull out just like one piece of it really quick.
Are you for this is for you guys, chat. Are you guys anybody out there going to the land? Is anyone interested in going to the land in person and being going as a viewer, as a fan, and whatnot? I'm curious. Crush, I know you are. Crush said he bought his tickets like 5 minutes after it got announced. If I were to make a power rankings right now, who would be your number one team entering the season? Not including WildHeart. Ooh. I don't know how fair this would be, given what I know. Whatever. Screw it. I think 30K. I think 30K is quite possibly one of the teams to beat for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have 30K at number one. Um, Yeah. Yeah.
Some of it's hard to tell too because there's like always this thing with scrims and kind of seeing what levels the teams are at that's divided between NA and EU.
Hmm.
Like it's very hard for NA teams to scrim EU teams. So
Yeah.
some teams it's like the Chili Mountain team. I don't really know where they are at. People seem to be putting them really high up on those power rankings, but we don't get to scrim them, so it's hard to say what do they compare to WildHeart? How much worse are they than WildHeart or Diamond Hands or these other teams that scrim very NA schedules?
Right, and it's always real quick. Actually, you're talking about going to the land with your NGS team for IRL meetup. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. NGS team, like, yo, let's go to this thing. Let's meet up for the first time in IRL. That's awesome. I asked them if they were going to go to the land,
Yeah.
but
Here's
and
my
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, here's my like that was like the glove.
Oh,
See?
embracer, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, you made that?
Yeah, I made this.
That
Yeah.
looks like an
Got like
actual piece of
a
armor.
little a little leather. Yeah, I made it. It's all foam. Look, you can see on the back.
Oh,
It's just foam.
you're so crafty. What the hell?
It's hard though, so I didn't do it again for the third BlizzCon. Too much work.
I see. I see.
Well, he wants to get a 3D printer, and that's when you can really start to make some cool things for cosplay when
Mm,
you have the 3D printer. It makes things
nice.
so much easier too. So maybe I'll do it again.
Okay. Saxy IB has had a mic for a while, so he's good to go. My IB uses full voice comms. Um, Going back to the power rankings, the whole thing with the EU, NA, whatever. Um, I can understand why people have Chili Mountain up at number one because of their like results in the Masters Clash and X Cup and things like that that happen in EU. But then you look over there and you see like what the top teams are, and it's kind of like what the competitive landscape looks like, and it's kind of similar to that of NA. You've got like these couple teams up here at the top that are just always demolishing everybody.
Mhm.
Uh, and then, okay, at what level are those people actually playing? There's a specific meta that develops over there, and now you're playing on NA servers, right? And then you're going to continue playing against those teams, and you have that little meta there. What is the quality of the teams that you're scrimming up against versus what is the quality of the teams that the NA teams are probably playing against? And what's the meta that's developing there, and then kind of like bringing those two metas together and seeing which one's better at the end of the day. It's going to be interesting. It's
See,
hard to say, but there's
this is why I think people are gonna kind of underestimate some of these teams because we
Mhm.
have the 30K team, which you look at any of these power rankings, most people are putting them first. And so who gets to scrim 30K and actually grow this season? We do. Diamond Hands does. Maybe a little bit of simplicity because the Korean times actually work okay with NA if they can scrim during the day.
Yeah,
And so and who does Chili Mountain get to scrim this season? Granite?
yeah.
Uh
And well, Oxygen's team.
Oxygen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Uh,
Uh,
the the whole scrim situation with it being so split between EU, NA, and a lot of teams being and always have been like either EU or NA heavy has always interested me to see how a season progresses because if you can't scrim and play the best team in the league, are you going to be able to grow as much as a team if the
mhm.
best team happens to be EU or the best team happens to be NA? Like, do you just kind of top out because the people you're playing aren't challenging you as a player, or maybe they're letting you get away with plays 30K wouldn't let you get away with? Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah,
you don't want to
for
form
sure.
bad habits because you're scrimming teams that don't punish.
And that happens. That
Yes.
happens. 100%. Did Sims' career roster come completely out of nowhere for you, or did you have an eye out on the Korea players as well? I have my own theory on that one. I don't know if the Korea, that Korean team kind of did come out of nowhere, not really. Also, that somebody was going around and being like, "Hey, there's this really sick team out of Korea that's signing up. You should check them out." A team did. So that was simplicity. and they're going with it. Korea plus Porky Slips, which by the way, I'm happy for Porky and I'm happy for Slips. They get picked up, and it was because of HRCS performance. Straight up, that's what it was, and uh, I wish the best for them this season. But
I do
anyway,
think that either way, it's really exciting to see. You know, it's always been open for any region to play in since they made it. So it'll be interesting to see a whole new region starting to dip their toes into the
yeah,
water and see what kind of talent that does bring. Because I don't like Haven streams a lot. He gets quite a bit of viewers. There's a lot of Koreans still
yeah,
involved in this game.
yeah, and his
So
YouTube is
maybe
pogging too.
yeah, yeah. So maybe someone like kind of breaking through into CCL will encourage other people to do that as well. So
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But all right, we're gonna start wrapping up here, everybody. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. We're gonna get ready for HRCS for real this time.
yeah.
Uh, Jazzy, thanks for doing this. Salvaje, thanks for putting this together. Real quick before we do leave, Jazzy, go ahead and shout out anything, any last things you want to say, and then shout out.
I mean, you can catch Girls Gang Squad on Fridays. I've been playing the last 3 weeks. My team's been winning, so
Owning.
Plasticene's been casting instead, and
How's that
yeah.
going, by the
So
way? You enjoy
the team,
playing?
it's nice to play again.
Yeah.
I do like playing. I do like playing in a team environment. It's different from like the last team I played on, which was with you with NGS,
Hmm.
because I'm doing all of the shot calling and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little
yeah.
different, but it's fun.
Nice, nice.
I do enjoy it, but I would like to get back to casting. So I think this we're gonna play again this week. It was a debate on whether we're gonna retire and let a new team come in, but we're gonna play again this week and just switch up our roles. So I won't be in the shot calling and tank role this week.
Right on.
We'll be playing
Right on.
something else. We don't know yet. We'll probably figure it out as we go.
Sounds good. All right. And y'all can catch me here. I'm going to be casting HRCS as well here in just a few minutes. Twitch.tv/Goon, GGWP. Hey, make sure you drop a follow here on this channel. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming out here on this channel. This is going to be the hub for all the WildHeart events, whatever. Anything WildHeart, you're gonna see a lot of that here. So go ahead and give that a follow. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Appreciate your time. This is a lot of fun, and I hope to be able to do more of this in the future. And here's to a good season for WildHeart and CCL and whatever else that we decide to dip our toes into. So until next time, everybody, be safe, take care, spend some time with your loved ones, and for the love of all things holy, go touch some grass. Peace out.
Bye.